Good morning, children. I welcome you all to another class of botany. In the previous class, we started studying about gene interaction. That is an extension of the Mendelian work. So here we studied gene interaction. They are of two types: intragenic gene interaction and intergenic gene interaction. In that we studied what is intragenic gene interaction. We studied that is the alleles of a gene which is present at the same locus, they interact and bring about the change in the phenotypic expression. So this we call it as intragenic gene interaction. Since the alleles of the same gene is interacting, so it is also called as allelic interaction. Today we are going to study about intergenic gene interaction. In intergenic gene interaction, the genes which is present in two locus, they interact and they bring about the change in the phenotype. So here the alleles of the gene which is present in two different locus, they are interacting and bringing about the phenotype, and they are non-alleles. So this type of interaction is called as non-allelic interaction. Okay, so here let's study intergenic gene interaction. Interlocus interaction takes place. Interlocus means between the locus. Interaction takes place between the alleles at different loci, that is between the alleles of different gene. So here interlocus interaction takes place between the alleles of different genes. So this can be studied by different types of crosses. So in our syllabus we are going to study about dominant epistasis. So here it is a gene interaction in which two allele of a gene at one locus interfere and suppress or mask the phenotypic expression of different pair of alleles of another gene at another locus. So here you can understand, in a chromosome two locus, in two locus two genes are present there. Each gene has its own allele. So the two alleles in one locus, two alleles of a gene in one locus, they interfere with the alleles of another gene in another locus, and they bring about the change in the phenotypic expression, or the gene in one locus, they suppress or they hide or they mask the effect of the gene which is present in another locus. This type of gene interaction, it is called as dominant epistasis. I hope it is clear. So again I am telling you, it's a gene interaction between two genes. Each gene has two alleles. So the two alleles of a gene in one locus, it suppress or hide the effect of the other two alleles in another locus. Okay, so this is called as dominant epistasis. So here the gene that suppress or mask the phenotypic expression of a gene at another locus is called as the epistatic gene. So the gene which suppress the effect of another gene, that gene is called as epistatic. And the gene whose expression is interfered by non-allelic gene, that is the gene whose expression is hidden by another gene, okay, alleles of another gene, that gene is called as hypostatic gene. I think it's clear now. The gene which is dominating or just hiding the effect of another gene, that is called as epistatic gene. The gene whose expression is suppressed, which cannot exhibit its expression, that gene is called as hypostatic. When both the genes are present together, when the epistatic and the hypostatic genes are present together, the phenotype is determined by the epistatic gene. Okay, so here this we can understand with an example in a summer squash plant. In summer squash plant, the fruit color locus has a dominant allele. So one character, it is the fruit color. It is having a dominant allele W, which codes for white color, and its recessive allele small w, which codes for any color. Okay, so that is codes for colored fruit. So it's clear, in the summer squash the fruit color locus has a dominant allele W for white color, and a recessive allele. Recessive, as we know, it's represented by small letter, so small w for colored fruit. W allele is dominant that masks the expression of any color. So here, if capital W is present, no other color will be produced, only the fruit will be white color. In another locus, hypostatic allele G is for yellow fruit, and its recessive allele small g is for green fruit. So here the another locus, so here what is present, the hypostatic allele is present there, that is which can expression is hidden by the dominant allele. So here the in the hypostatic allele the capital G is for yellow color and its recessive allele small g is for green color. So in the first locus, the white is dominant to color, whereas in the second locus, yellow is dominant to green. When the white fruit with genotype, okay, so white plant, that means it will have the capital W gene alleles. So capital W, small g, so genotype for white fruit is crossed with the yellow fruit. So yellow fruit means there will be no capital W, instead it will have small w, and since it is a yellow fruit, so here the allele will be capital G. So the genotype of the parent plant taken for the cross is capital W, small g, which is a white fruit plant, and another plant is a yellow fruit plant with the genotype small w, capital G. The F1 plant here, it is obtained is a white fruit. The F1 generation, when we cross a white fruit and a yellow fruit plant, in the F1 generation we get a white fruit, but it is heterozygous. So genotype of this plant is found to be capital W, capital G, small g. Okay. So when this F1 heterozygous plants are crossed, in the F2 generation, phenotypic ratio is found to be 12:3:1. So here you can understand with this cross here. So here parent generation, parent plant is taken as white fruit and yellow fruit. White fruit represented by capital W, and small g represent is the genotype for the white fruit. Next here small w and capital G is the genotype for yellow fruit. So gametes you can find capital W, small g for white, and small w and capital G for yellow. When the cross is done between this cross is done between the parent plants, in the F1 generation we get a heterozygous white fruit plant with the genotype capital W, capital G, small g. The selfing of this plant is done. So in this plant there are 4 type of gametes are present there. Okay. So as we have already studied how the gamete formation is done. So each character they align themselves. So here capital W, capital G, small w, small g, small w, capital G, small w, small g. So these are the 4 type of gametes they are found in one heterozygous white fruit plant. Similarly, the gametes for the another white plant also have the same type of gametes. When the cross is done, okay, so when the capital W is present, the plant will be a white fruit. In the absence of capital W, the any other color will be exhibited. If it is recessive small w and capital G, so capital G when it is present, when capital G in homozygous or in heterozygous condition, the color of the plant will be yellow. Okay, if both the recessive alleles are present, small w and small g, then the plant is found to be green. So here in this cross you can see in the tabular column, when the cross is done we get 12 white plants, 3 yellow plants and 1 green plant. So the 3 different phenotypes are being obtained here, and the phenotypic ratio is found to be 12:3:1. So here the explanation is given here. Since W is epistatic, okay, capital W is epistatic to the alleles capital G and small g, the white is dominant, mask the effect of yellow or green. So that is the epistatic gene. It masks the effect of color, that is the yellow or the green color. Homozygous recessive small w genotype only can give the color fruits. Okay, small w, it is in the recessive condition, it is present only, the plant will have the color, otherwise the plant will have the white color. Double recessive, that is small w, small g, both the alleles they are present in recessive condition. The plant, the color of the fruit is green. So here out of 16 plants, one plant will get in the get of green color. The plant having capital G in its genotype, it may be small w, capital G, or small w, capital G. So any of these two condition, if the capital G is present, then we get a yellow fruit plant. Out of the total 16 plants, the yellow fruits we obtain is 3. Hope you have understood the dominant epistasis. Next, here in the tabular column, it is given the various types of crosses, intragenic and intergenic interactions. So here with the different types of intragenic interaction, the example and the phenotypic ratio is given there. Similarly, for intergenic gene interaction, different types of interactions is given there. The example is given and the phenotypic ratio. This you have to learn for the 1 mark question. Next, we complete the intergenic gene interaction. Next, we are going to study about polygenic inheritance in wheat. So that is the kernel color in the wheat plant. So a polygenic inheritance, poly means many. So many genes, they combine to control a single trait. So polygenic inheritance means several genes, they combine to affect a single trait. A group of genes that together determine or contribute a characteristic of an organism is called as polygenic inheritance. Okay, so this polygenic inheritance, this experiment was first demonstrated by Swedish geneticist H. Nilsson Ale in wheat kernels. Kernel color is controlled by 2 genes, each with 2 alleles. So here in the wheat plant, there are 2 genes for the color, and each gene it has 2 alleles. So one gene it gives the red color, which is the dominant, and the other one is the white, which is the recessive. So here Nilsson and Ale, they cross a pure breeding wheat variety, dark red and a white. So here this Genesis, they cross the pure breeding varieties of red and white plant. Pure breeding, we know, generation after generation they will produce the same type of plant. They are called as pure breeding. So pure breeding dark red and a white plant was crossed. Dark red genotype, as we have studied, each gene they have 2 alleles. So dark red genotype, it had the alleles capital R1, R2, capital R2, and white genotype is represented, as we studied, white genotype, it is the recessive character, so represented by small r1, small r2, R2. In the F1 generation, it was found when the dark red and a white plant was crossed. In the F1 generation was found a medium red color plant was obtained with the genotype of capital R1, capital R2, small r2. Okay, so F1 wheat plant produce 4 type of gametes. So here this we can understand by the cross here. So here this is the cross. So as we have studied, a dark red plant, the alleles they are capital R1, capital R2, capital R2. So this is for the dark red parent plant. And the next, the recessive variety, it is what? The white, which is represented by small r1, small r2 and small r2. When the cross is done in the F1 generation, we are getting capital R1, capital R2, small r2. So here it is a medium red plant we have obtained. Next, this medium red plant, when the selfing is done, that is the same variety is crossed. In the F2 generation, we are getting different type of plants, that is one dark red plant. Okay, so different red plants, about 15 red plants we are getting, but the intensity of the red plant, it varies. Okay, so here you can see only one dark red is there, then different medium red color plants is there, light red is there. Okay, and one white plant is present here. So this cross is clear for you. So here, the more the capital R is present, more capital R is present, the intensity of the red color increases. So if all the four capital R's are present, it will be dark red plant. If the intensity of the that is, if the number of R decreases, the color also decreases. So here, if three capital R's are present there, so here we get a medium dark red plant. Okay, it is a medium dark red. All the four capital R's, it is dark red. If only three capital R's are present, it is medium dark red color. Okay, next it is, if we have two capital R's are present, then we call it as a medium red plant. Okay, it is the medium. Only two capital R's are present, we'll get a medium red plant. If only one capital R is present, then it is a light red plant. So, more the dominant alleles present, the intensity of the color is more. In the last case, you can find absence of capital R. No capital R is present, no dominant red allele is present there. So, the color of the plant is white. So, here you can find the explanation here. So, as we studied, dark red genotypes, capital R1, capital R1, capital R2, capital R2, and white genotype, small r1, small r1, small r2, small r2. In the F1 generation, medium red are obtained. F1 generation, we are getting a medium red is obtained with the genotype of capital R1, small r1, capital R2, small r2. So in the F1 plant, there are four type of gametes are present there. Capital R1, capital R2, capital R1, small r2, capital R1, small r2, small r1, small r2. The intensity of the red is determined by the number of R genes in the F2 generation. So 4 R genes, if it is present, it is a dark red kernel color is obtained. Only 3 R genes are present, medium dark red color is obtained. 2 R genes of medium red color is obtained. 1 R gene is present, light red color is obtained. Absence of R gene, it results in white color. The R gene is an additive manner produces the red kernel color. So more the capital R, more darker is the color. The number of each phenotype is plotted of red kernel color and produces a bell-shaped curve. So from this cross, we conclude that finally the loci that was studied by Nielsen et al. Are not linked and the genes are sorted independently. So here they concluded that these genes, they are not linked together. So they are sorted independently. As a result, we get different type of different colors of kernel colors we are obtained here. Later, researchers discovered the third gene that also affects the kernel color of wheat. The three independent pair of alleles were involved in the wheat kernel color. Nielsen found the ratio of 63 red is to 1 white in F2 generation. So here he got in the phenotypic ratio was found to be 63 is to 1. And the genotype, if we find, it is 1 is to 6 is to 15 is to 20 is to 15 is to 6 is to 1 in the F2 generation. So here this is the polygenic inheritance cross. From the above result, Nielsen et al. Showed that the blending inheritance was not taking place in the kernel of wheat. So here they again explain, it was proved that the blending of the gene, mixing of the gene is not taking place. That is why in the F2 generation we got a wide range color. In the F2 generation, plants have kernels with wide range of color variation. This is due to the fact that the genes are segregating and recombination takes place. Another evidence for the absence of blending inheritance is that the parental phenotypes dark red and white appears again in the F2 generation. So again in the F2 generation we got the one dark red plant and one white plant. So this also supports that blending of the gene is not taking place. There is no blending of genes, only the phenotype. The cumulative effect of several pair of gene interaction give rise to many shades of kernel color. So here the effect of all the genes that provides different color here. He hypothesized that the two loci must contribute additively to the kernel color of wheat. The contribution of each red allele to the kernel color of wheat is additive. So here we have completed with the polygenic gene inheritance. Okay, children.